Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. I am going to be 300% transparent with you guys. Writing intros for the podcast is probably the hardest thing to do and probably the thing I dislike the most. Anyway, as I was listening to my podcast guest today, the interview, I was jotting down some notes thinking, how do I bring her amazingness together in just a few short sentences and share with you how incredible and talented she is. And then I remembered that she has a website where she lists some of her accomplishments. And I really think that this is a great way to introduce you all to her. So her name is Deborah Woods, and I'm so excited that she's on the show today. So here are 5 things about her and her experiences that might surprise and delight you. So number 1, she successfully raised a hard-to-parent child who has become a brilliant man that she is proud to call her son. She's worked with hundreds of kids and spent more than 15,000 hours playing with kids in her own unique brand of play therapy. She's completed more than 100 hours of training in play therapy, including an intensive 2-year training program and supervision in child-centered play therapy. She is deeply devoted to helping kids have happy childhoods because she did not. She knows how to heal from childhood trauma because she has not only healed, but has gone on to live a wonderful, flourishing adult life. And she's created a unique program for parents that reveals step by step the methods used by professional child-centered play therapists. In the comfort of their own homes, parents are equipped to create life-changing relationship-building experiences with their children in just 30 minutes a week. And on today's show, she is going to talk about her work. She's going to share how she created her program, and she's going to talk just a little bit about niche marketing and actually why it really is important for us talk therapists to know who our ideal clients are. So let's dive in. Deborah Woods, NCC, is the passion behind Magnetic Moms. Deborah is fiercely committed to helping moms and kids enjoy life together. She has spent more than 15,000 hours playing with kids, and with 30 plus years of experience, she's worked with hundreds of kids and their moms, dads, and grandparents. Deborah discovered its playful connection that makes the biggest positive impact on a child's life. She says, facing overwhelming struggles as a mom, I was determined to triumph over the challenges that stood in the way of my son's happy childhood. I discovered that connection, not discipline, was the answer I had been looking for to help my family. Deborah equips moms with play therapy trade secrets so that they can have happy kids in 30 minutes a week. Despite having made her share of mistakes along the way, she has raised a successful and brilliant adult son who's overcome the challenges of ADHD, learning disabilities, and anxiety. Deborah put her training and experience together to create a unique program for parents that reveals step-by-step how to have a happy child in 30 minutes a week. Her passion is fueled by research that shows the way she creates connection and play therapy is even more effective for moms. These professional secrets are powerful tools to enhance and deepen parent-child relationships. She says, what lights her up about this work is knowing the things my son, my husband, and I struggled with prepared me to enable moms, dads, grandparents, and kids to avoid the years of pain and frustration we suffered. Her expertise has been honored with significant distinctions, including a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's of arts degree in psychological counseling, a national counselor certification, and a state of Missouri license in professional counseling. Her most treasured awards are those handmade by kids in her playroom and given from the heart. So welcome, Deborah Woods, to the Therapy Show. I am super excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. I'm happy to be here.
So I think it's really cool that your life's work is pretty much based on your own life experiences. That's pretty incredible that you've taken your own struggles and your own challenges as a mom and created an amazing program or therapeutic techniques for other families. I just find that incredible. So we're going to learn a little bit more about that. We're going to learn more about you. But before we jump into the meat of our podcast, it's so fun to share how we met on Facebook. You and I met in a group for therapists. And I made a post in there and said I was looking to connect with other talk therapists. And you just raised your hand and you were like, ooh, I'm interested. And so Thank you so much for raising your hand and being here today. Can you go into a little bit about how you decided to become a talk therapist? I really love to hear how people got into this field.
Well, I started out, my very first experience with mental health professionals was I was a struggling teenager. My stepmother would watch soap operas, and Dr. Marlena Evans saved a girl from jumping off of a roof. And it just planted a seed of, I was at that place as a teenage girl of needing some help. And so when I had the opportunity to go to college, psychology was what I wanted to study. I knew that I didn't have good role models at home, and I needed to learn something about how to get along in the world that I was missing out on at home. And so psychology just seemed the right direction for me. And from there, I just fell in love with the field and the profession. And
wow, I wonder what soap opera was that? I can't remember which one that is, Dr. Marley.
What soap opera? Days of Our Lives.
Days of Our Lives. Okay, yeah. Oh my gosh, I wonder if they know how many lives they've inspired by that episode. Wow, it's funny what imprints on us, It's just totally
yeah.
But you needed to see that at that time in your life. Yeah. And if that's what got you to work on yourself, then I think it's awesome. That's awesome. Seriously, you just never know what brings people to this work. So thank you for sharing, a little bit about your background and your history. And I find that so many of us get into this work because we recognize and we have the awareness that we ourselves want to learn more about factors and environments and, just kind of putting things together in the puzzle to kind of figure out like, how did we get here and what's going on? And the cool part is we decide how do we want to move forward in our lives, and we realize that it's up to us to change,
Right.
We might go into that kicking and screaming thinking, no, other people around us need to change, and I'm going to get into this work to figure out how to make other people change. But yet we realize within those first couple of classes that we don't have the power to make other people change. We have to own it. So just a little bit of a plug out there for people considering this work. It's really important that you're aware of your stuff, and I think that makes the best therapist for sure.
Yeah, it was really my first step on working on myself. And I loved the very concept that in order to do this work, we need to do our own work. Really began that understanding was something that my professor did a really great job of seeding that all along from the very beginning. And I love this field because of that.
Yeah, I know, me too. And we could talk for hours about that, but thank you so much for kind of sharing your background and what brought you here. But it also transitions well into kind of what led you into your expertise or what led you into your niche. So can you share a little bit more about how I know you and I talked last week about this, and I just find your story so fascinating. Can you kind of maybe go into more detail about how you got here?
Yeah, when I went to school for my bachelor's degree, I took a class on, I always knew I wanted to work with children. I just always had that in my heart that I knew that. And so my first opportunity I read Virginia Axline, Dibs in Search of Self, and her play therapy book. And I just absolutely was mesmerized by the story of the work that she did with this little boy, Dibs. And something in my heart just connected with that growing up. And I had lost my mother as a child because my mother had schizophrenia and divorced my dad when I was very little. And so I grew up without a mother. And there's something about that story and something about the way that she connected with that little boy with so much acceptance and so much permission to be who he was and to help him to grow, and the trust that she had in him to be able to be his own person just really was something that, like, I wanted that in my life. And you know how when we're young and we're students and we don't know how to get it in our own life, we think about, well, I want to be that for other people. I want to be that for other children. And so I started out with that idea of wanting to do that for other children. And so as I progressed and went to school for my master's, that idea was still in there. So when I got my first job, I was blessed with having the opportunity to set up a play therapy room in my office. And so I was working with kids, but it really all came together in the challenges that I had with my own son and going through just as a therapist, things were working and it was going well. But when I really needed something to work even better was when it was challenging at home. The problems that he had visual perceptual problems. His brain didn't know how to read until he was in about the 6th grade after a lot of effort and work. But the challenges that I faced as a mom were the things that really pushed me forward to try to find things that were outside of the normal realm of what was working and the things that I was learning in workshops and things that I was going to. And so I really pressed forward to be able to find something that just would consistently work time after time after time with kids. And it wasn't until I had the opportunity to take some child-centered play therapy training in a really intensive way from some folks from Dallas, Texas, who were in a PhD program out there working with Gary Landreth, that I really had the opportunity to learn the skills in a very specific, structured way that just revolutionized the way that I was doing things in the office and just totally made a difference at home. Gave me the tools I needed to be not only a confident therapist, but a confident mom.
Wow. That's awesome. What did you learn that really made the difference for you versus what what new techniques or new theories or new advancements had come out that really started to put the pieces together for you in your practice and with your son?
I think for me, the pieces were that when I read Virginia Axline's book, it was concepts and vision. It gave me this incredible vision, but it wasn't until I studied the specific techniques. It was that they had specific processes that were very clear. And so when I would take those into the office, I had a little boy try to throw a chair at me. And when I had the skills, a specific script, knowing exactly step 1, step 2, do this, now repeat step 1, step 2. Like when I had the script, knowing exactly how to do it. And then I had the opportunity to quickly see that, wow, this really works. And it has worked consistently over the years, over and over in so many situations. Anytime I run into a challenge with a kid who's being aggressive with me, I go back to my script. I just 1, 2, 3, use that process. And so that's something that I teach moms. Mm-hmm. So really it was about getting from the vague concepts to some very specific scripts and processes used in a very specific manner that made all the difference.
Right. Gotcha. That's really cool. Okay. That's really good to know. If people would want to know more about that, is that something that you teach or is that something you have to kind of like refer to somebody else?
No, that's all in my program. That's when I read the research that came out of the work in the PhD program in Texas was that moms get faster, better results when you teach it to moms than trained therapists like myself. I said, I got to teach this to moms. So that's when I did my online home learning program. And those processes are in there. I break it down into 8 weeks of training and I get really specific. Step 1, step 2, step 3.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, when you and I first connected, I got really excited about what it is that you have in this online program, because with today's times and moms and families and kids, we are so strapped for time that it's hard to come into a therapist's office
right
for 8 weeks in a row to get the specific scripts just to see it. So I love that you have taken it to the online space. Can you talk a little bit about, well, first of all, can you talk a little bit about the program? And then can you talk about how your struggles in like creating an online program? Because I know a lot of therapists out there are thinking outside of our box of what we normally do face-to-face, trading time for an hourly fee, of how do I create maybe more of an evergreen product or something that I can work smarter and not so harder. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it was a real journey. I started locally, we have networking groups. And so I started networking, like going out and doing the whole networking thing, and joined a networking group and found out that, you know what, just like telling people, hey, I'm a counselor, send me clients. Yeah, that didn't really work. Right. And so I took some more focused training on specifically how to network. And when I took that program, I learned, wow, I really need to niche market if I'm going to be asking people to send me referrals. And so part of that process was there's a lot of resistance in trying to niche market, like, but I see everybody, it can help everybody. But who do you who do you really want to serve? Okay, so I'm going to say that I want to work with moms. So you have to work with moms if you want to work with kids. So I work with moms. So I honed that message and said, I want to work with moms. And so my friend was like, well, hey, you need to do workshops. And so she's like, I took this program from this gal in Vancouver, go see her, do her program. So I invested a ton of money, went and took all of her programs, learned a ton of stuff about marketing and doing workshops and all that. And so that was a part of my journey. But at some point I was like, I need an online home learning program to go with this, to be able to teach this home. So some of her people came on and said, hey, I have a program to teach you how to do an online home learning program. So it was meeting one in networking and meeting people and being willing to try new things. And the online home learning program just really seemed like a good fit to go with what I was doing. I tried the live event. We did a full day live event, but and I like doing that. I like having that time, but that's not as convenient for parents as the online home learning program piece. And so what I do now is I package it. I use it as a bonus. A lot of times whenever I'll sell a 12-week package and I'll bonus them my online home learning program as a piece of it. And what I find is that when they can go home and watch the videos step by step each week, then they come in next week and they observe what I'm doing with their child. They're just observing one of the skills each week. By the time we get to 10 weeks, they are able to take the lead in the session. I turn the session over to them, give them feedback about what they're doing really great with, how they're like really hitting the mark on the skills. And after 12 weeks, they leave excited, ready, able to do it. And it's really changed the way that I do therapy. I find there's not this long discharge period, where of trying to say goodbye to kids after I've gotten this great relationship with them. And so I'm a little sad sometimes that I don't get to see kids for as long as I did before, but being able to see parents walk out at the end of 12 sessions successful doing these things at home, it's the delight of my heart.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so exciting that you figured out a way to take what you love doing and you realize that the time constraints we have, the energy that we have, and probably cost effectiveness for the family as well is and then you give them this home learning program too. I mean, you're just kind of meeting them in so many areas that we hear from our clients a lot, they wish we had available. So I think it's awesome that you have found like this incredible niche that you have just like really honed in on. This episode of The Therapy Show is sponsored by my favorite fitness apparel, Zaya Active. I recently discovered Zaya Active when I went looking for high quality and premium workout clothes. Just like those luxury store and catalog brands, yet I wanted a budget-friendlier price tag. I love this brand because number one, I live a very active lifestyle. I hit the gym about 5 days a week, plus I love to go for runs and long walks, which I consider to be my very important self-care and podcast listening time. Plus, the endorphins I get from my workouts keep me in my happy mental space. The clothes stay put, I'm not constantly pulling on my leggings or tugging on my sports bras, and they accentuate me in all the right places. And number two, when I work from home, I love to be comfortable in leggings, also known as yoga pants, and a tank top. Plus, I can transition to running out the door to pick up our girls or run errands while still looking put together in my athleisure styles. My favorite workout leggings are the light and tights, and my favorite everyday wear are the everywhere pants. I literally wear them everywhere, every day. I can even wear them to business meetings or client consultations. I can dress them up or down easily. Want to learn more? Head over to lisamustard.com and click on the Activewear page. You can learn all about Zaya Active, the mission, the clothes, and see if they are a fit for you and your active life. From weight training to running to Zumba to yoga to CrossFit to bar to walking to tennis, Zaya Active has you covered. And don't forget about the active men in your life. They have an amazing men's line, plus clothes for active kids too. That's Zaya like papaya active. So see my site for all the details. So I guess my question is, was it a linear process for you? Like, did it take a long time to figure it out or how long do you think it took you to kind of get from, being over here, like networking first, kind of not knowing what you wanted to niche into to like, got it, you have this online program and you're just plug and play kind of thing?
Well, it's been about 7 years from the time I started that whole journey. So there was a lot of trial and error and not knowing what direction I was going and who, and there was time where the guy who did the online home learning program teaching you how to do it wasn't doing it when I first started 7 years ago. So there was that process of like, how do you get to the next person to help you go to the next level and do the next thing? And so there's just been a lot of, it's been a journey wandering around trying to find what's the next thing.
Right.
But it's been a really good path. I would totally advise anybody who wanted to make a similar change to be able to like find out and get that roadmap. I think it's a little more accessible now than it was 7 years ago even. So.
Oh yeah, I can see that for sure. I mean, I know there are therapists out there who that's what they do now is they help other therapists. They specialize in helping them either build a private practice or build an online program or become a speaker. I mean, you can just find, there's so many resources out there now. Technology has just made it so amazing for us to be able to connect and to share information and to create these programs. Do you have another program in the works? Like, do you ever think you want to do another program?
Well, I have a second program that I'm wanting to build after the first one. And I think I'm just about there, ready to do that. I've had enough people go through my program that I can definitely see a need for the second. Okay, so now you've learned the basic skills. What are the next level skills that you need to know to be able to apply and use these skills? Kind of excited about putting that program together as well.
Ooh, that sounds really good. And do you have anything else in the works?
I actually probably have a lot of things in the works. It's just a matter of kind of pulling them all out and figuring them out. I'm currently working on figuring out the launch for my new book, Brave Empathy, a Feelings Field Guide. Part of this whole thing of getting known in the community, started writing I wrote a gratitude book, Courageous Gratitude for Moms. And we did that last year at Mother's Day, and we did a 3-day free download for that. And it was a huge success. And I really enjoyed the process of making that book. And so now I have something when I do go networking, I can hand that book out and say, this is who I am. This is a little something about me. It's just a nice piece to leave with people who come in for a free get acquainted session or something like that. I can leave them with a book. And even if they choose not to buy, their lives have been impacted by having an opportunity of, something that can take away that'll make a difference in their lives that way.
I love that for a number of reasons. So I love it because you have such a heart for moms being, what you've created and what you've been through. But the cool thing is that you're giving away such amazing value. I mean, you're giving away free value. And so maybe in the moment they don't purchase or they don't buy a package, but man, they're taking incredible value with them. So down the road, they might come. Have you had that happen where they've come back and purchased?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Would you encourage other therapists to create something like that?
Oh, yeah. It's a wonderful way to, basically the gratitude book is a 40-day journey. So it's written for moms to take a look at. I thought about like, where are moms starting out and where do I want them to go by the end of the book? And so I wrote 40 prompts, 40 writing prompts to give them an opportunity to think about, I thought starting out, where are they at? So I just ask a question like, what did you like about your own childhood? What did you like about your mom? What did you wish your mom had done differently? All the way to like, what are you really grateful about your child? So that's the journey. And then between that, I had the opportunity to, because every now and then through those prompts, you want to see something different. And so there's 3 to 5 pages, all about every 10 pages of stories and things that I can just tell to be able to introduce them to who I am and what I believe in and how I see the world. And it's an opportunity for them to kind of get to know me a little bit in the middle grounded reading. So yeah, it's a great opportunity. And I've had nothing but positive feedback in doing the book experience, but it really motivated me. After I did the first one, I was like, well, I can do something different from this. And so that's when I wrote the next one, the one that we're working on the book launch now, and we're going to do a free download here real soon on the Brave Empathy book. But it's a feeling word dictionary. So the idea is that a big part of what I do with the children is reflecting their feelings, noticing what, as they're playing, what kinds of feelings are the kids expressing in their characters, in themselves, and being able to put words to that. So the feeling word dictionary is a really important piece of that. And so the book has 40 comfortable words, 40 uncomfortable words defined. And then there's photographs that go with each of them. Unlike your normal, like feeling faces kind of a thing, I don't have any uncomfortable feeling pictures. With the uncomfortable feeling pictures, I've put comforting pictures to go along with those. So when you flip through the book, it's all very pleasant, calming, comfortable kinds of pictures. So if you just want to use it as a tool to just, you need to regulate your emotions a little bit, look through all the pictures and you're going to feel really nice at the end.
Oh, that's exciting. Oh, I can't wait to see the book and to use it as well. That sounds awesome. Yeah, so that's exciting. Do you feel like you're going to take that into an online program maybe at some point? I mean, have you had thoughts of that?
I'm not sure where that's going to go yet. I do know I originally wrote it because the empathy piece is such an important part of my program in working with children. And so I wrote it as a way of seeding the idea, helping people understand the concept of where does empathy fit with play. I think a lot of times as play therapists, we put up there all kinds of memes and posts and stuff. We talk about play all the time, play, play, play. And I don't think parents really, truly understand. It's not just, our message isn't just go play with your kids. It's not even send your kids out to play. Your kids need to play more. There's something in the skills that we use when we respond to children in their play, in the special play times. And so empathy is a big piece of that, to be able to understand, what is that? What am I talking about? What does it mean to be able to name their feelings? Happy, sad, mad, glad, isn't that all there is to feelings? And so just giving people a more broad idea about how many different words there are in the language to describe our feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to get that book. I'm going to use it with my kids. It sounds really, really helpful. And I remember when we were in grad school or I don't remember, they gave us that like magnet thing and and it had all the little faces and it just, was the emotions. And that thing was awesome. I don't know what I did with it, but you could you could circle like which one you were feeling that day. But this sounds like that this takes it to the next level of, really giving you more detail and more guidance and what to do with it, the feelings.
Yeah, I not only define it, but I give stories that give a behavioral description in an interesting to read story form, so that as you read the story, you're actually getting a behavioral description of what that emotion looks like. It's a wonderful resource, not only for moms and dads to be able to understand their own feelings so that they can then help their kids understand their feelings. But I was realizing after I wrote it, was looking at it like, man, I need this in my therapy office. How many adults don't know? A lot of times when I'm doing like a marriage counseling and we're talking about feelings, the couple needs something to be able to identify their feeling when they can't find the word for it.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about the possibilities for it.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a number of different ways you can use the book. So that's really exciting. Yeah. Do you do supervision? I guess that was another question. And tell us where you're licensed again. You're in Missouri, correct?
I'm in Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my license in 1988 when the licensing law first came into effect.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're only licensed in Missouri?
Yeah, state of Missouri.
Okay. And do you do supervision?
I am available for supervision. That's not something I currently am seeking out, but I'm available for that if somebody is really interested in something that is what I'm really interested in, then I'll be open to sharing, but it's not something I'm seeking.
Gotcha. No, I totally get that. What about consultation, like peer consultation? Do you do the for play therapy? You do that. Okay, cool. That's good to know, because I'm sure there are a lot of therapists out there who might just be getting going with play therapy, or maybe they need some peer kind of support. So if you guys are interested in that, they can just reach out to you, I'm guessing.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners today that I haven't asked, or anything you want to throw out there?
I would just say that it's really important to keep on following your passion, figure out what brings you the most joy in this practice. My supervisor way back when in the day basically told me that counselors tend to burn out within the first 3 to 5 years. And I think the secret to not having done that is really following my passion. And I love working with kids in the playroom. And when I started feeling frustrated at not having the skills, then I went and got the skills. I kept searching and kept searching and kept searching until I found what worked.
Yeah, I really like how you said that. I think maybe that's another thing we can talk about down the road is burnout. But I like how you phrased it, when you follow your passion and you're enjoying what you're doing. Because I think sometimes, and tell me from your experiences, because this was mine when I got going, was I thought I had to know everything about everything. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to have a client. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to learn something. But I think what for me became the burnout was I was overwhelming myself with trying to learn so much about so many different issues.
Right.
I realized just honing in on this one population and just going for it has been the best thing to keep me going with this profession, So thank you for saying that. It's something that I've thought about, but you really honed in on it.
It's interesting because we think like the fear thing that says when we go to a niche market, the fear is that nobody's going to come to us for anything else. And what happens is when you get known, people are like, well, do you do this too? And like, well, yes, I've been a counselor for more than 30 years. Yes, I still do marriage counseling. Yes, I still help women who have sexual abuse issues. Yes, I still do all that. And all that still comes my way. And I have all this other stuff that I do with kids.
So I think what you're saying, or what I'm hearing, is that don't be afraid to niche down, but yet in the meantime, you still become that general practitioner. You're still having those other clients, but don't be afraid to really niche down and become known for something specific that really lights you up and has you jump out of bed in the morning going, woo, can't wait to get to work. Okay, cool.
Yes.
I think that's so important. I think so many of us, well, I'm just going to say for me, I was overwhelmed in the beginning. So what do you think about the idea of, every couple of years shifting your focus? Is it okay to kind of, maybe I'm asking that question because I've evolved over the past year or two. And so I've shifted a little bit, and I almost felt kind of guilty in a sense to leave a little bit behind what I kind of became known for. And so I had to kind of do my own work around, it's okay for me to evolve and to pivot. What do you think about that?
Well, I think as long as it's an indication that you're growing, as long as you're growing and growing into new things, you're not leaving behind entirely the things that you've learned in the past. You're building on those things. Anything that you've learned in the past has gotten you to the growth that you are. And so, don't be afraid to move into this new area where you're growing, because that's an indication of growth. And who knows where it's going to take you and where you're going to be a few years from now. That's an exciting journey. To stifle that would be, I think, setting a bad example for your clients.
Thank you so much. I just got the permission I needed from my friend to tell me that it's okay to evolve and to grow. And I think you're right. And I think I think that's my own stuff, is just being fearful of pivoting a little bit, because I don't want to leave anything behind me, but I like how you reframed it. So thank you for giving me the okay and the permission. You didn't know you were going to be doing my work on the podcast today, but thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. If I live in South Carolina, but you're licensed in Missouri. Can I buy your program?
Well, that's a legal
I just want to make sure,
issue.
because some people, they might be listening and they live in a different state and they're like, oh, well, Deb's program sounds like something I need, and it's online.
The way that I see it is it's teaching. I'm not counseling you directly. I'm not counseling about it's an educational program. And my lawyers say that it's, as long as it's educational and entertainment, I'm not having a counseling client relationship. And so, yes, you can buy my program outside of the state, and understand I'm not your counselor. I'm giving you an educational training program that will benefit you, but I'm not counseling.
Well, that makes sense. It's kind of like, I guess, purchasing a book. It would be a very similar thing. So that is really helpful to know. So counselors out there, if you're wondering about that, definitely check with your state and your licensing. Check with your attorney. But I think overall, that's just blanket good advice. I mean, that would make sense, to me. If I'm going to buy a book written from somebody in California, then I imagine I could purchase a program. Like you said, it's education. It's not a counseling relationship. It's not a therapeutic relationship.
Right. And in my book, I specifically say this is not a counselor-client relationship. And so it's understanding that I think it's important to put that in your program somewhere and make sure that people know that this program does not make me your counselor. You're not my client in terms of counselor-client. This is an educational program. But I don't give legal advice. And so I would highly, before you go on that advice, talk to your own lawyer, check out your own state requirements.
Definitely.
Check all that out personally to protect yourself.
We know how to do that. We are very much, if there's one thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that it's illegal and ethical before we put anything out there. I love that about this profession. We're all very much, because this is our livelihood right here. So how can the listeners, find more Deborah? How can they get more Deborah in their lives?
There's a number of ways. You can find me at my Facebook page, Deborah Woods. You can find my books on Amazon, Courageous Gratitude, Celebrate Your Journey Through Motherhood, and the new one, Brave Empathy, A Feelings Field Guide, are both out and available on Amazon.
Okay, great.
By watching my Facebook page, you can be able to make sure you find out when the launch is. I also am at Reaching Deb on Instagram.
Okay. We'll link all of these accounts and information in the show notes. So you guys don't have to write all this down as you're listening. You can just go to the website and get the show notes. So this will be there, Deb. We'll put it all in there for sure.
Okay.
Well, this has been so much fun. And I'm just so grateful that you have come into my social media world, because that's truly how we connected, was through Facebook. And I say it all the time. I would not be here if it weren't for Facebook and my connections and networking. So I'm excited for everybody to come get to know you and check out your Facebook page, your book, your new book coming out, find you on Instagram, maybe do some peer consultation with you. Is there anything else that you want to share? Because this has been so awesome.
Not that I can think of. Like I said, I could talk all day and not say everything I know. Well,
thank you, Deb, for being here and for sharing your story and for talking about, tell me the name of the program one more time for moms.
Playtime Power.
Playtime Power. Oh, I love it. Okay.
Playtime Power online home learning program.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I'm so grateful. And I look forward to maybe doing another podcast with you down the road. There's all kinds of great stuff that you're an expert in. So thank you.
Sounds great. Okay. Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Therapy Show. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine. Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content. And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the podcast. Thank you.